have never desired your good opinion.
People fear what they do not understand.
I have a headache, a badge, and a gun.
Power is yours.
Behave.
I was just trying to start a conversation.
And share the wonders I've seen.
Hi, and welcome back to The Wonders I've Seen, where there's no such thing as weird or normal, there's just different. I'm your host, Tanagra, and today we'll be discussing the film Teeth, feminism in sci-fi, basically. And I'm joined by our guest, NotKoalafied. Welcome to the show.
So glad to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. All right, so what's your liquid nourishment for the day / food?
Right now I've got my wonderful sippa mug. It's full of water, but it is a sippa mug, so that counts for something special.
Keeping it classy.
And I'm also, of course, eating sushi, because that's what I do.
Excellent, excellent. Also keeping it classy and healthy, and I am eating gyoza and drinking tea, because, yeah, Earl Grey hot, my go-to. All right, let's get into it. So, Teeth.
Oh my god. I'd never seen it.
Yeah, nor had I.
I know a lot of people who had, my boyfriend was like, oh, you've never seen it? I've seen it 3 times. I was like, no.
Amazing.
No, I'm sorry.
Amazing.
And boy, was I missing out. I will say, I was so pleasantly surprised by what this movie turned
Right?
out to be. Yes.
Right? I was not expecting this. Like, and a lot of the things I think that make it so good are not very apparent in any of the promos that you saw for it. It's just like, oh, there's a young girl and she has teeth in her vagina, basically. Like, spoilers, y'all. This entire podcast is going to be spoilers. And then you watch it and there's all these details and this symbolism and all these lessons and this commentary. And you're just like, oh, damn. Like we were saying, like Women's History Month. This is the film, okay?
Women's Future Month, right here.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, in so many ways, I felt like this was pitched, or I knew about it when it came out as a horror movie.
Right.
You know, along with so many other, like, what was that one? Slither. It's got a woman in a bathtub of worms. So this one features a woman in a bathtub on the front. You're like, oh, teeth in her vagina. Oh my god.
Right.
Oh no.
No,
honey.
no.
This is a you go get it, girl. Yes.
Please. Yes. Should we talk about it by topic? Okay, let's start with talking about the use of the virginity pledge as it instructs this character in sort of her journey through sexuality. And just sort of her lack of self-awareness because of it, which I'll be honest, I know people who have made virginity pledges and they are more aware, but I think the film also does a really good job of showing that she actively does not try and learn about her body.
No, there's definitely, and it's not just her, it definitely shows, you know, the school is blatantly covering up basic female anatomy.
Right.
And it's not discussed, and even during that scene where, you know, there's a giant sticker over the vulva diagram.
In their sex ed class too, but the penis is like totally out there for us all to learn about.
And the male teacher says, well, that's different.
Yes.
That's quote unquote different. But even with that, lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
I am not used to this. This is funny. No, yeah, so they had the diagram, and that's covered up, but she goes to raise her hand. It's like, oh, let me explain. There's this thing, a modesty.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, honey, who taught you this?
Right.
What Bible camp did you go to?
Yes.
So it just makes me think of, you know, all those leaders where they're like, the political leader who's like, oh, a woman's body has a way of... I was like, dude, if you believe this, your schooling needs some serious work. And it's a very, very sad fact because I know there's a lot of people who really, really don't know.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
But, like, I felt like I went to a really good school. As far as my upbringing, I lived in the suburbs. Most of my classes were great. White, Midwestern suburb.
Yeah.
And I had a purity ring. I went to a thing.
Okay.
I did the whole shebang. I paid $15 for the silver ring thing.
Hey, the silver ring was a nice one.
It had, what was it? It was 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 3 and 4. Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Written on the inside, it was like inscribed. I don't remember what that Bible verse says.
It's okay. I'm going to look it up and tweet it out. Like, it's okay. I'm going to tweet it out.
So at the time, I knew what it said, and I was like, well, I can recite this. It was...
Right.
Even looking back, I'm like, what did that even... But there was an event you go to, and you watch people speak. This was like almost a laser light show, like one of those mega churches, practically. And it was such a money, like, all these little kids are showing up like, yeah, it's cool to be
pure.
I mean, we didn't hold hands in the lake water and go, purity. But exactly. But me and a bunch of girlfriends all went, and you all got the ring, and then you're like, oh no, I'm saving myself.
Right.
And, like, happy with my decisions then, but I didn't feel so woefully ignorant about sex. So
yeah, I mean, like, right, they show her definitely, like, she goes out of her way not to know. And I don't necessarily know if like I said, I know people who had purity rings who weren't like that, but I think it also does show that, like, if you don't want to know, that education is not easily available if you don't actually educate yourself.
Yeah,
and the film does a good job on that.
You don't even have to avoid it. It's just, and then you have all these myths. And this is back before, well, the internet is in this time period, but I don't think it was as accessible. Now, I'm not sure if that holds. I know I've seen things where kids are like, oh no, you can just Google anything.
Right.
Which can be good or bad.
Yeah.
But
right.
I think that helps dispel some of those myths, like the fact that women have a built-in modesty.
Yes. Oh, God.
Then again, I do think that that is written intentionally that way, because this movie is all about analogy. Everything they allude to, every reference, every little thing, and I'm just like, oh honey, oh, we know what you're talking about. Oh
yes,
she got teeth. And so when she says that, it's like, well, this is not a common myth, but it's a myth that was pervasive at one point. And the funniest thing is that she has a built-in self-defense mechanism. I will chop your penis off.
Okay, so that film made me so happy. So throughout the film, we see her as a child, right? And her soon-to-be, I don't know if they're married at the time yet, but stepbrother is like, I'll show you mine, you show me yours. And you understand after, like, he pulled back his finger and it's bitten that he wasn't just trying to look, right? He was trying to touch. So already, like, already a sexual predator at such a young age, right?
I mean, that's a scarring moment for both of those two people, as you see throughout the film. It's so funny how they're like, oh yes, by the way, sexual trauma at a young age can lead to heavy consequences as an adult.
And that they both handle it and they both cope with it so differently.
Very differently.
Also. Yeah. Yeah. And then the other male we see is a guy who's in her purity class and is all like, I believe the same thing, Toby. Yes. And then we have the guy who when they're in the sex ed class and he's like, sounds like so aware, right? Because he's like, well, why is the female body different than the male body? And you're like, oh, maybe he's promising. Nope, no, it's not. Like,
I mean, he was for like a hot second.
No.
You're like, oh, he's kind of being sweet, except, oh, he's still like a teenage douchebag.
Right, right. And then you have like the stepfather who is like, oh, he's decent, or is he? Because I kept waiting for him to fuck up too. And then just like the doctor.
Oh yeah, the doctor, that whole thing. Yeah, so the doctor, like...
Bracelets removed. Continue.
Yes. I realized I was going to make so much noise at this.
Oh, it's fine.
So the doctor, like, she goes in, she's, like, worried, she's getting herself checked out.
Right.
I feel like
trying to be responsible.
This is even just a normal teen thing. You're just like, I don't know.
Right.
Something's happening. I don't really want to do this, but I feel like you have to, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, they recommend, 21 years or sexually active, so... In that sense, of course, she's carrying all this guilt, thinking she's sexually active after Toby, and that's a whole nother kit and caboodle to unpack.
Yeah, we will.
But, the doctor, that's hilarious, oddly enough, had my pap smear today.
Oh, how are you doing?
Looked good, all checked out.
Women's health, take care of yourself, ladies.
Anyone out there who hasn't had one, it doesn't go like it did in this movie. Just so you know, that's not what happens.
And if it does, you should report the doctor, not think that you're the person who did something wrong, okay?
Shoving his whole ungloved hand up into your vagina.
Fucking body. Yeah, no.
It hurts. Just breathe through the pain.
No. During that scene, I was like, when is it coming out? When is she going to bite his hand off? I thought it was real nice. It was only the fingers, because I was expecting wrist down.
I was
I'm
kind
not
of wondering. It's like, where in her vagina is this teeth maw?
I know.
Like, are we at the lips? Are we talking about the cervix? How far do we got to go? So, yeah, the fact that he only lost his fingers, it's like, oh, okay, so it's a depth thing. Right. That's in there.
Right, exactly.
But, yeah, no, that doctor, I watched it, I guess, technically 1.5 times since I caught the latter half of your viewing.
Yes.
And having, like, witnessed a couple of those things over, I was like, oh, that detail. Like, when he asks her, oh, is this your first time? So you have no idea what to expect. So she wouldn't know that him shoving his whole hand up her vagina isn't right. Yeah. So just those little things where it's like someone's taking advantage, and you kind of see how that it's set up. Honestly, the details in this movie, they're brilliant. I was so impressed.
Even the purity ring being like red instead of the traditional silver or white, even that little detail, right? Because the red, you think of blood, which like and, with virginity, losing it, but then also in her case, like when you try to rape me, I'm gonna fuck you up and you're gonna bleed out and then die.
I have a danger hole. Come and get it. Like, just definitely like the red ring had a lot of symbolism to it too. So yeah.
Right. And talking about people taking advantage. Oh God, we could talk about every male in this film. But let's talk about Toby. Let's go to the one who she like imagined having her first time with, which I love the fact that her imagining their first time on their wedding night is the first time that she wanted to masturbate.
Oh yeah, she's like not gone down there.
No.
Doesn't know anything about it, has kept herself pure, like in quote unquote, in body and mind.
Right.
Like that whole shebang, which as I said, I had a purity ring. I do not subscribe to this faction of thought anymore, and haven't for a long time. But
coming out of your purity, yes.
Yeah, coming out of my purity. I am pure, motherfucker. I don't know if you swear on this podcast, but you do now.
Okay.
Like, that's not what determines your, like, worth as a person.
Completely.
Your I don't know what you say, your spirit or your soul, your cleanliness. Like, sex is not a dirty act. It is a natural part of life.
Which I have to say, just to briefly touch on something, that I actually thought that this film was going to say something negative about female sexuality. Mm-hmm. That is what I was expecting. The idea that the woman's sexuality is a monster. And instead it's like, no, like lack of consent is.
Yes.
And that's like straight up what you get out of this film. Like, it's about the mutual respect of your partner, of the woman you're sleeping with, of listening to what she wants. And if not, you end up like we saw with Toby. Because, like, before he shoved his dick in her and raped her, like, she was okay.
Yeah. They were good together. It was cute. It was set up like a love story, and I do love me some cheesy teen romance. Like,
I mean, that meet cute at the purity conference.
I love it.
Right, and then like the fact that they lock eyes while she's on stage talking about purity, and then later he comes up and then she finds out that he's a friend of her friend that she hadn't met yet. He's the new boy in school. I was like, oh, this is so cute.
Destiny.
Right. Right. And he's like supporting her even in class when she's talking about like the woman's natural modesty.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, oh, he's a little touchy.
Little touchy. No, when they were in the cave, I was like, okay, yeah, he wants more. He wants it. He's resisting, though. Right. And then she said, we have to go. And he said, okay. And I was like, oh, isn't that sweet? I had like such a nice moment. And gone.
And you're like, damn it.
Fucking die in a lake, Toby.
Right. Which I feel like it's very... I like the fact that, one, it doesn't... So he comes out and he's like, about 1.5 years ago, I had sex, I felt bad. And I like the idea that they're like, yeah, you can still be pure and like go that route if you want, even after you've had sex, because ultimately it's about your relationship with God. But then I also like the fact that he is this guy who's onto the purity, and then he rapes her to just be like, ultimately, like, this ring does not mean shit if the person doesn't actually believe in it, because she believes in it. And until she doesn't, then she's all hardcore about it, which it's about that belief, that faith, that personal faith.
Yeah, it's not about the actual quote-unquote purity of the physical thing. It's about
you
and your commitment. And,
right.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, like, putting the ring on, wearing that red ring doesn't make him less of an asshole or less of a rapist, right?
Doesn't make you a better person.
Doesn't make you a better person, and, yes. Snaps to that.
Snaps.
It's true.
He's all like, I haven't even masturbated. I was like, maybe if you had. Not to say that, he couldn't resist. No.
Right.
Bitch, please. get out of town.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was like, you gotta have some relief, in my opinion. There's gotta be something.
I would agree. Because, like, you know, I think for some people it works. They don't have to have release. I think for other people they do. But you need to know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, like, that's a journey that you should go. That discovery, which is what she does in this film.
Oh, yeah.
Beautifully.
She journeys far and wide, and
like,
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And revenge. So much good, sweet revenge.
I know. Like, I think this is the first time I've watched a film that involves rape that I felt uplifted after.
Oh, my gosh. I had some friends tell me, oh, you gotta go watch Spit on Her Grave, or Spit on His Grave. Don't watch that. I'm not recommending it. But it was about, oh, she gets raped, and then she goes and she gets her revenge. Oh my god, that's like 2 hours of watching this hippie woman get raped by the lake. I was just it keeps going. Oh, and now it's his turn. It keeps going. And then to come back to it, she ties them up and she rapes them, and then she murders them, I think. But like halfway through the movie, I was like, why am I watching this? It was terrible. So this is not that. This is definitely horrible. Like so much more empowering, where I'm just like, yes.
Well, yeah, because I love the fact that it's not like, oh, she later comes back and gets her. Like, she's like, no, you're gonna know right now that what you're doing at this very moment is fucked up and wrong.
Not okay.
And now you will die. It's not like a level of how bad it is. How violent was the rape? Was she drugged? No. Did you respect her? No. You're wrong now. You die now. Very, very simple.
Or you lose your penis.
You lose your penis. Yeah, because I'm assuming the guy who made
I think the last two probably survived. He was in the OR, you know, with his penis tip.
Yeah,
getting reattached.
That's true. Yeah. Also, okay. So we've talked about Toby, dead Toby of the purity ring, who raped her.
Goodbye, Toby.
Right, the violent rape. Then we have the drugged rape. That's not violent because she was drugged.
She was drugged, and I know. I definitely, the first time I watched that, I was like, "Oh God, no! Oh no! What's he gonna?" And then he had like the vibrator, and I was like, "Oh, she is on a drug, and it's making her a little loosey, but she's also totally into this." And that is to say, like, you know, there's that hard line of like what is and what isn't consent, because technically you could say, oh, anyone who's drunk can give consent, but who hasn't had drunk sex and been like, no, I wanted this is good, right? We're both into it. So it's one of those things where it's harder to tell from the outside, because at first I was like, oh no, he's drugged her up, but then I was like, oh no, she seems happy with this,
right? Because, yeah, my initial thing was like, well, I mean, yeah, you heard me. Oh, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, another man needs to die. Like, that was my initial reaction. And then I was like, well, okay, if she's somewhat sober, which I don't think she was fully sober, because she was on those drugs. But at the same time, she had decided that she wanted to be sexually active because she threw away her purity ring. So I was like, okay, maybe there's still a level, like, I still don't think it was necessarily consent. I just think that she was sort of, like, coerced and it went well. Let me put it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the way it went. Because also he did ask her if he should stop.
That is true.
And I think that's the moment where I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, if she would have said yes.
Thought, oh, he's doing all this stuff, and she's kind of just laying there. But
she's
then
literally, like, passed out.
I mean,
she wakes up passed out, and he's, like, massaging her breast, and, like.
Yeah, I when that happened, I was like, oh no, and then I was like, oh wait, she's okay with this. I literally thought like she passed out and he stripped her down, and I was
no, but she did. She passed out. She was only wrapped in a towel.
She was wrapped in a towel and she spilled on herself, but then it like cut to her opening her eyes, but then she kind of closes them again and starts moaning. So like, was she asleep? She seems to be okay with this. It's a very hazy line, and part of that comes just from the perspective of the camera. So it is hard to say, oh, that's good or bad, because at the time you're like, oh, it's good, but the next day it's very bad. So
right. I straight up think it was assault until she was like, yes to him. Because for me, that's where the line is, because he knew she was drugged. If he didn't know that he had like given her something that would make her pass out, and then like on top of that he gives her champagne, I would have been like, oh no. But he knew what he was doing. Like, he didn't just happen to light the candle. He didn't happen to give
coerce her. Like, oh no, you can go to the police tomorrow.
Right, exactly. Just lay down. So, like, no.
Yeah, he definitely was, like, quote unquote, these are air quotes, trying to set the mood, but, like.
Right.
definitely stepping over that line. Like, a muscle relaxant is great, but
it
also
does pass you out, and you mix it with alcohol, and he gave her champagne.
Yeah, and then she spilled it on herself. Like, she's clearly not there.
Right.
But
once again, then she wakes up and she's like, he does ask, and she gives a verbal consent. And so I was like, okay. Right. I still don't think this is right. But then finds out it's a fucking bet, so respect her.
He did like her, but that doesn't mean he's not a douchebag.
No,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You like somebody, you like somebody. You don't like them and make a bet on something that was like important to them. Like, I was like,
that was pretty
on.
bad, and he got what he deserved.
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah.
People, okay, life lesson. If you're with somebody who thinks they can make a bet on your sexuality or a bet on anything that they can break you from any sort of oath or promise you make, they're an asshole and you shouldn't be with them. Because if it's important enough to you to make a promise, then they should respect that. Whether you're talking about sex or anything else, like, they should support that. If not, they're an asshole. He's an asshole. And you know what he gets? He gets the tip of his dick off because he bet on sex.
I did have someone, I went vegetarian for, I was going vegetarian, and they were like, how long will that last? And I was just like, what the fuck, dude? I just said I'm not eating people. I mean, I just said I'm not eating animals.
Not qualified. Are we? Let's not give out all of your. We don't have to use this like in a court case in the future.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying.
Eating people. No. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, but
that's good.
And I also think it's interesting though that he's the one who, he tried something and then like her teeth didn't kill him, right? Because the other two men, she actively like, I feel like her teeth ate more of them versus this guy, she only took the tip.
I think,
and
I don't think that it only took the tip. I think that
he just called his mom faster.
He called his mom. Yeah, he called his mom. He got to the hospital. Then they made that joke like, "Oh, is it even worth putting on?" He has a small penis.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean.
Yeah. All right.
Which is like a little bit of humor, a little bit of humor. I don't know. It's like old school humor where it's like, is that still funny? Did that hold up? That was one thing going into this movie. It's from what, 2004? 2007. 2007. I was like, it's been over 10 years. Let's see how this movie about vagina teeth holds up over 10 years.
Right. Particularly now that, like, I mean, I feel like the feminist movement is much more.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because I feel before people are like, I'm a feminist, and people are like, what does that mean? Right. And now there's more people understanding what it means. It's
a much more active movement. There's not like one. Yeah. It felt like, I mean, I was younger, but it felt like before it was like there was feminism, and that was like angry, violent women burning bras, and then there was just everyone else. And it was like, not those women. I don't want to be put with that. And it's like, no. That's not what this is about.
Right.
So the fact that this is from 2007 and we still highly enjoyed it today, having never seen it before, makes it even more impressive.
Yes.
I mean, it was definitely of its time with like the music and the clothing.
Oh,
I
God.
do love. They dressed her so well. That shirt that says "sex changes everything."
I know. The clothing cues were amazing because it starts out and she's like, "I choose to be pure," and then "sex changes everything," which is right before Toby of the Purity Ring rapes her, and she's like, "Oh, guess it did."
Yeah, this
like,
changed so much because I just cut off your penis and let you die.
But it's also like the beginning of her realizing her sexuality and like looking into like what does a vagina even look like, because she had never done that. And then in the end, what I loved is that it shows her in this white fucking purity dress, right?
Oh, yes.
Like
the most, like, you could get baptized in this thing. And she is on a journey to, like, smash off some guy's dick because he let her mom die.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I loved it.
Yes.
I loved it.
The symbolism, it's like there at every turn, and you're just like, oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, right there. Totally.
And like there's the lighting around her, she always looks so like almost like angelic. Like she always looks like so bright, and like at first it starts like a purity and like sort of like halo around her. Like no matter what scene she's in, she always is like well lit and shining, and her eyes are bright and her eyes are big.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they also picked the bluest, blondest.
Right.
You know?
And then towards the end, though, even when she's vampy, she still has that same light, but she's like a vampy purity. Like,
vampy purity,
I loved it. Yeah. Okay. Well,
let's see.
Let's see.
I don't know what else we have to talk about. We can talk about other things like the music, because let me be real, I was actually quite impressed with the soundtrack.
I would agree.
There were moments where I was like, it's silent. They chose to do no sound, which I find to be, how do you say, like Hitchcock said, if you have to use sound to explain it all, then you're not really doing a good job with your imagery. So I think the parts where they just like cut out sound was really great, and it definitely drew your attention into what was happening more. Mm-hmm. There were also other moments, like she gets back from the hospital. This is before her mom died, and she walks to the front door, which is wide open, and you just hear that music of her stepbrothers coming in, and you're just like, as it gets louder, you're just like, aha, yes. And then she runs away, of course, which I was like, I felt like it really, really embodied a lot of the things. Angry metal music in the background of so many of the scenes. Cut to, her, what was that love scene where it's like love scene as pseudo-drugged love scene, and they have like practically a symphony going. Like it was all very sweet and nice, and she's happy, and
so this is how I imagined it.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, Phoebe, it's not.
Yeah, you're not married.
Right.
Starting there,
right?
But the candles and the sweet nothings,
right? The guy who's acting so supportive,
hollow. It's very hollow.
It's not about any of that.
No, he's being nice to get something,
right?
Which isn't really nice.
No, just like the old man at the end who gives her the ride and then won't let her out of the car.
The creepiest old man with the weirdest teeth and the longest tongue.
I know, but then I loved it when she's like trying to, and like she actively tries to get out, and then he won't, and then she just looks at the camera. And I was like, yeah!
You're just like, this is happening. The girl is gonna get some.
Yes. Like, that's fine. There's something empowering. I feel, so the other day on Twitter, there was a femme woman tweeted out, like, women, if cishet men weren't allowed out when it was dark, and they had a curfew, what are the things you would do? And some of the basic things were like, I would go for walks alone at night. I would jog early in the morning, because, like, it's just that feeling of like you're always worrying about what's happening. Like for me personally, I have a gym membership because I would like to go jogging in the morning, but I want to jog with music. Well, you can't be a woman jogging alone before sunrise
with headphones, in the park.
Yeah, right. And it was basic shit like that. Or like, I'd pump gas at night. I've been told since I was young, you never pump gas at night because you never know what will happen. As a woman, you're going to always attract more attention. And this film was like, you know why she can go and she can hitchhike at the end? Because if Eddie try to buy something, she's going to eat your fucking dick and you're probably going to die. Like, it was just like this empowerment of like, if this is where evolution is going to take women, like her teacher was talking about, by all means,
take me there.
Please have children and let this be the
exactly
standard.
What I was thinking. I was like, she should just start popping out babies. They're all going to be just vagina dentata left and right.
And even if they're men, they'll still be better men because they know about vagina dentata. That it's all about that respect and that mutual enjoyment. Right.
And then hopefully their daughters will have
daughters will have vagina dentata and they'll raise their sons better.
Vagina kingdom, yes.
Right. Like, it's gotta start somewhere.
I love it.
Like, it was such an empowering film that, like, once again, a film that dealt with rape. And at the end, I was like, fuck yeah, women. Fuck yeah.
Exactly. So many, like, childhood sex trauma, rape.
Yes, lack of education.
Seduction, and, like, poorly educated. And I shouldn't say, like, coerced. She obviously was gung-ho about this whole...
until she agreed.
No, about the whole purity ring thing. Obviously, she did that on her own. She decided, definitely due to some childhood trauma that led to her life decisions. But
which, disclaimer, I don't think everybody that gets a purity ring has childhood trauma. No. But I definitely think in this case, that was part of it.
I think you could definitely just see some of the events from that one scene, of course.
Yeah.
Pulling from a fictitious movie, they're going to show you the little things to be important. But, yeah, from that one scene and these two people who reacted very differently and took that very small moment into their adult lives. What was her brother's name?
I can't even remember. I
remember Toby's name and then asshole.
Yeah, asshole brother.
The douchebag.
Right. It was like, right.
Anyways, yeah.
But
mean, he doesn't have sex with vaginas. He only does it in the back door.
Because of what happened. But at the same time, it's like...
an irrational, quote-unquote, irrational fear of vaginas.
Or he shouldn't have tried to molest his stepsister.
Also that.
Right. But, okay, anyway. Basically, we'll be rewatching this film for Women's History Month. Maybe even Valentine's Day. I'm just joking. I thought it was excellent. Go see it if you haven't. It's on Netflix right now. If you were unable to join us for the screening, then please find somebody in your life who has it so you can watch it. It's a great film. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. So that's all the wonders I have to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. It's amazing. Let us know what you think. Thank you again to my guests, Not Qualified. To continue the discussion, you can find me on Twitter at Tanagra, GGNOC. And where can they find you?
I'm also on Twitter. My handle's at NotKoalafied. That's koala like the bear, so NotKoalafied, not qualified. Same as my PS4. I don't know if that's called a handle. Yeah. I'm on there, especially if you play Overwatch. Yes, that's my life. Also Instagram, but I really don't ever use that one. So Not Qualified, Twitter, Instagram, and PS4.
Awesome.
Come at me.
And so for all you Android users, you can find us on Anchor and RadioPublic. And for all you iThings users, you can listen on iTunes and Overcast. You can also listen to us while watching an awesome slideshow on YouTube. So join us on Thursday nights EST at 8 p.m. for Thursday Night Wonders on Rabbit. And we'll be doing a few Wednesday watches and maybe even some Saturday streams. I have some cartoons that I want to get back into. Leave us a message on some platform at us and suggest a movie or something else to watch. Thanks for joining. Make choices and don't roll it up.